This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Danilo's free. He goes to get wide. Edge of the box. Foley. Yes! Great goal! What a hit from Oliveira! It's wide! They've only gone and done it again! Forest back in the lead! Rewarded Gibbs White! Oh, what he scores! And the City ground goes ballistic!
Chris Wood's on fire and your defence is terrified. I got told to say that by someone who met me in Reese last night in Sarah. So a big shout out to Sarah. But hello and welcome to Red Side of the Trent as we react to Forest's terrific 3-1 win away at Leicester City to send us temporarily to the dizzy heights of fifth in the league thanks to a goal from Ryan Yates and a brace from the Kiwi, Ronaldo, Messi, all in one in Chris Wood. Joining me is the original gang of Reese Lane, Christian Brown and Lee Clark. Lee, first of all, how are you? You well?
Yes, I'm very well.
Good.
Happy to be fifth in the Prem.
Yeah, Christian, 20 hours of football, of travelling around this week, 6 points. What a brilliant endeavour.
I know, right? Not bad. Definitely not bad.
Reese, how are we? How's the voice?
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely brilliant all round, I think.
I mean, I think we're all singing and dancing as Callum Hudson-Odoi was rolling away to the dressing rooms after the game this morning. Let's start with the team first of all, Reese. Unchanged from Monday night. Everyone kept their spot. James Ward-Prowse back on the bench. No Morgan Gibbs-White still. Was you happy with that team lineup?
Yeah. Obviously, the question would have been, two questions, wouldn't it? If Gibbs White was fit, was he going to come back in? And the other one was kind of, would we bring Jota in for Elanga? So we stuck with Elanga. There was no point in bringing Ward-Prowse back in because he can't play next weekend. So you would have had to made another change. That would have been bizarre, especially with how Yates and Dominguez have been playing. So yeah, happy with the team, and it proved to be the right team.
Yeah, I mean, interesting start from the game because I thought Leicester put out a quite attacking team and everyone was quite surprised. I know Leicester fans were dying out for that Fatu to start, and I thought it was quite an even game until Forest took the lead, Christian, through an unlikely source in Ryan Yates, but a cracking strike at the end of it. Let's talk us through it.
Yeah, it was a great hit, wasn't it? It was, yeah. I think all night I felt a bit. It was weird because you could kind of see a few similarities between this current incarnation of Leicester and Cooper's end with Forest, in that they were doing things well, but not consistently well enough to win a game. That makes sense. So, like, I actually felt on the ball, Leicester kept it really well. They were knocking it around quite nice in the first half, but defensively they were awful. Like, they just kept making so many silly mistakes, kept just like passing it, giving the ball away. And that's kind of what happens for our goal, really. They just don't clear their lines. They just pretty much just pass it to Murillo on the edge of the box. It's like, all right, I mean, as we know full well, like, as we found out the hard way, if you give Premier League teams a ball very cheaply on the edge of your own box, more often than not, they're going to hurt you. And that's exactly what happened. Murillo sort of fed it. Obviously, he ended up going to Anderson. Anderson worked it really well, I thought. His sort of end product deserved a bit better than what came before it, if you like. But yeah, obviously it ends up going to Yates, another poor clearance, and he hits it excellently. Like, he doesn't like arrow it into the corner. He just, like, it obviously gets curves away from the goalkeeper into that bottom corner. It's a superb strike. It's sort of like, it's so very funny because, like, what he did in that game was so typically Forest, in that he scored the harder chance by rifling one in from 20 yards, but when it came to him 4 yards out, he ballooned it into Derby. It's like, like, how Forest is that? But no, fantastic goal. And yeah, I felt, to be honest, after we scored, I said to my dad at the time, like, we haven't even started playing yet, and we've taken the lead, so that can only be a good sign for the night.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully the second one that we will talk about didn't kind of mean anything in the end, but I thought the response from Leicester was pretty good, Lee. And I've listened to a bit of Forest Focus with Lewis McGugan, and he spoke about this really well. But I thought their goal was actually worked really, really well. I thought Winks kind of beat the press pretty good. But could we do something a little bit more to maybe track his run before he puts the ball into an area where Vardy can tap home?
Yeah, I mean, the midfield looked a little bit tired in that moment, didn't it? The only thing I would say, I think Dominguez, when he doesn't track the run, slip through to Winks, isn't it? So he doesn't track that run in the first place. Then just stick a foot out. I think if he puts his foot out and the ball still gets round him, you kind of cut him some slack. But I mean, that is nitpicking because Dominguez was once again brilliant. So it was one of those things. I think when a team plays football like that, you kind of have to, hold your hands up and say it was a well-worked goal. And it was just one of those things. I think it was more the reaction to them scoring that I was most pleased with from a Forest perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good goal. I don't think there's a lot we can do about it. It's probably the first time we've been kind of carved open in a game this season, I would say, personally. I don't know what you think. Yeah,
I'd agree with that. I think, it's... Look, do you know what was really pleasing was, obviously, because I wasn't at the game, so I was half-time, I was flicking through, and I was expecting an absolute, breakdown of whose fault it was, and there'd be 4 different players that people are throwing under the bus, but there wasn't really anything. So I think it's almost like there's been a shift with some of the fan base that, because our defensive unit has been so good, I think a lot of people kind of just thought, it was a good goal, fair play, we're in the game, let's see what the second half brings.
Definitely. I mean, I thought after that, Leicester kind of got a little bit on top, but we did have probably 2 of the most notable chances in Dominguez having one from point blank range, Reece, and then Callum Hudson-Odoi stinging the palms of Hermansen. But did you think it was a good save, or did you think Dominguez should score that? Because I personally think it's an unbelievable save, makes himself big.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I think if you ask Dominguez if should he had scored, he'd be disappointed. Say, yeah, I should have done. But it's an instinctive save from the keeper. Dominguez has done everything right, really. He's connected with it cleanly. And the keeper just spread himself and it's hit a limb, and it just a bit of an unfortunate one then. Hudson-Odoi strike, I mean, he hit that clean as a whistle. It was just a good height for the keeper, wanted to push away. But I mean, the rest of the first half, I thought we caused them loads of problems down the flanks. Hudson-Odoi and Elanga time and time again got past the fullbacks. It was just kind of that end product, wasn't it? And the problem what Leicester gave us first off was the turnovers. When we committed a lot up the pitch and they won it back, if we gave it away, that was when they looked a threat. But yeah, I think it was just perfect to get in at half time at 1-1, regroup for the second half, as it proved to be, and let Steve Cooper give a famous half-time team talk.
I mean, I remember you saying to me at half-time, Leicester were probably the most open side you've ever seen us play against, because, like you say, like Hudson-Odoi was getting 1v1 so many times, Elanga on the same on the right-hand side as well, and it was very strange to see, in all honesty.
We was killing them down the flanks. It was just that, like I said, just that end product. We just couldn't quite get it right at times first half.
Definitely. I mean, at the start of the second half, I did say to the bloke next to me, I said, all right, it's time to stop giving him half a chance now. Reece, I'm going to stick with yourself. Cracking start to the second half. And I mean, I can't believe Chris Wood's turning it that, to be honest, but absolute pandemonium in the away end.
Yeah, as I just said, it was like what Cooper used to do with us, didn't it? We come out second half, and in that first 5-minute bracket, always seemed to used to concede, and you would always kind of ask the person next to you what the bloody hell's been said at half time, and that obviously transpired again. But yeah, the finish from Wood, absolutely brilliant. I mean, the first touch, which allows him, gives him that kind of yard, doesn't it? That half yard to make the turn. And once he makes a turn, his contact's clean as a whistle, and it's right in the corner. There's no chance for their keeper, and he is on absolute fire. And I think Cooper must be stood there thinking, "What the hell was going on when you was playing for me at Forest?" Because he just was a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? And now he played like prime Didier Drogba last night. It was absolutely fantastic to watch.
I mean, I think he's got the best conversion rate. I think he's got the best shots on target in the league now as well. He's currently the best striker in the league. Like he's better than early. Like he'd scored 30 goals for Man City. Like that's how
In
good
the
he is
world.
at the moment.
In the world,
He's honestly so good. I thought something like just before we move on, like there were so many times where Sells would like ping a ball down the pitch and he'd just control the ball on his chest without a challenge on him. I was like, what the heck is happening? Is everyone terrified of him?
I thought he did put himself a lot more last night physically. I don't know if that was, well, it must have been part of the plan, but I thought he backed into out Faz quite a lot on the other centre back they've got, the number 5. Yeah, I thought he put himself about. Like he was. I mean, God, what a turnaround it's been from the Cooper days for him. I mean, he's gone from, the Eugene Daddy kind of level to someone who's you're arguing now whether he's one of the best strikers to have played for us. He's 2 goals off being Premier League record scorer for us. He went level with Stan Collymore last night. So, yeah, absolutely brilliant.
Anything to add to that, Lee?
I was just going to say he's going to look so well with that Ballon d'Or trophy on Monday night.
I mean,
Real Madrid will be offering us Mbappe. You play Mbappe, we'll play Chris Wood.
I don't know if who's done that edit with obviously the Ronaldo haircut on him, but that is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, then 15 minutes or more of Chris Wood is on fire. I don't know where that's come from the away end, but it was absolutely party atmosphere. And I've seen so many videos on Twitter of people putting that video and then the third goal going in, Christian. I mean, please talk me through that, because that is an embarrassment from a Leicester point of view to concede that, but absolute hilarity on all fronts for us.
Honestly, like it was weird because when we scored, I didn't really celebrate. I just started laughing because I couldn't really believe what I'd seen. Wout phase. Oh, good lord! Like
the David Luiz.
The polite way to describe him, other than that, he gives me like Cameron Jerome syndrome vibes, in that he's too good for the Championship but nowhere near good enough for the Premier League, and as has proved to be the case. And Wood just runs into him, pretty much just bullies him, gets that flick on, and then just he just can't believe his luck. He just sort of like, he was so modest about it afterwards. It was like, I was obviously driving back and Dad was reading me out his quotes. It's just like, oh yeah, I was just waiting for the goalkeeper to come out and there's a lot to do, sort of thing. It's like nonsense. You knew exactly what you were doing. You just ran towards the ball, just like planted it up into the air. Like it was, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was like the most anti-woke goal you could probably imagine in the modern age. It's coming back. Vardy and Chris Wood, like Barkisman strikers, both putting on a storm last night. And like it was just I honestly, like you don't get gifts like that. I don't think we've had a gift like that since, I think the last one I remember was probably when we played Barnsley at home. We won 3-0, and that their centre back just passed it to Keenan Davis like inside his own half and put him through 1-on-1 so we could score. I genuinely can't remember another gift like that. It was such bad defending. We certainly haven't had anything like that at top flight level. And it was just hilarious. And I think just touching on what Reece said there, I mean, I was gonna ask you guys anyway. This is Wood now in that sort of like Graben, Harewood, David Johnson, Earnshaw bracket of like cult Forest strikers from the noughties. I think he probably is.
I mean, I'll let Reece answer first before I jump in.
Well, I'm going to exclude one of them from the list, not telling you which one. I'm sure you can imagine. Yeah, you've got to be, hasn't it? Most of them, to be fair to them, as much as, I loved all of them playing for us, they were all in the second tier. Chris Wood's doing this in the Premier League. And I know Stan Collymore only had one season with us in the Premier League. And you watch Stan Collymore, the highlights of him as an all-round player, and he was like, had it all, didn't he? So I get why fans would say, well, he's not on his level to watch as a spectacle, but to go level on goals with him and like 2 off Brian, he's going to break it, isn't he? Unless he gets, a terrible injury, touch wood, he's going to break it in the next few games. At the minute, you'd expect him to break it. It wouldn't surprise me if he's broke it by the next international break. Yeah.
I'm looking at he's on 76 Premier League goals now. I'm starting to wonder if he gets the 100 club with Forest. Yeah, like the way he's going.
I think something to note as well, the club's got to get this contract sorted.
Absolutely.
Because teams will be looking and thinking, God, we could get this guy on a free at the end of the season. So that is something we've got to get sorted. Yeah. We'll offer you Jude Bellingham. That is something the club has got to get sorted. Aina as well, who was again brilliant last night. Got to get these deals sorted. I mean, we look back to the Nigel Dartier where we let contracts run out. Chris Commons, Robbie Earnshaw, Sammy Klingen, who'd come up from League One with us as a
that wasn't
stalwart
really a
of that
loss,
team.
Klingen, but
I know,
obviously,
but
yeah,
he
I'll give you
was.
that.
Yeah, but he was part of that League One side, when we had to replace players, and we ended up with academy players in the team. So they've got to sort these contracts. I think that's got to be a priority for the club.
Lee?
I was just going to say, it sounds mental to say, but you've probably got to give Wood a little bit more credit than you could ever give Collymore. And it sounds absolutely crazy to say that, but hear me out. The team that we had in the Prem when we had Collymore finished third. So it was in terms of the Premier League at that time, it was a team that was, in the higher echelons of the league. Wood scored a lot of his goals playing in a struggling side. I know we've got a decent squad this year, but it's only 9 games old this season. So all the other goals he's scored for us, you've probably got to tip your hat to him even more and say that what he's achieving for Forest is far greater than what Collymore ever achieved, even though his amount of goals at the minute is greater. In terms of just talking about the Premier League, Wood, he deserves massive credit for what he's doing.
Yeah, and I actually think that the header last night is actually harder than it looks. I think it's just the header against Crystal Palace he did was even harder because he was looking the other way. At least this time he can actually look at the goalkeeper. I was completely shocked and bemused that the goalkeeper's not come out for that. But for
the only thing I would just to say on the goal as well, that's all I was going to say. I thought the goalkeeper's starting position was awful. As the moment that Celsa's he's only going to do one thing, and he's practically glued to his line. I think at the level I'm going to this afternoon, that would be unforgivable, let alone in the Premier League.
It was Baz's fault, though. He's got to deal with that. Like Christian said, he just got out muscled. And as a centre, if you're a goalkeeper, your centre back's done that, and then headed it up into the air like he did, and then left him. I know his positioning wasn't the best, but left him in no man's land. You'd be furious with your defender for me.
You can't let the ball bounce either. That's just an absolute.
And then he headed it up in the air. Set this one up.
I told you, Etsy David Luiz is absolutely terrible. Like, I've never seen such a bad centre half. But I just wanted to say thank you for everyone joining. We've got about 59, 60 people. Luke from Australia said it's not a slept on it fort because Australia, but I love that the fans sung for Taiwo long and hard. He's in the perfect environment to get back to his very best with no pressure, only love. James, you Reds. Jason says maybe the medium wide football fan base will stop underestimating us. Probably not. Love Cooper's post-match. You could see he didn't want to give Forest any credit. It made me smile. Jonathan Clegg. Taiwo has the qualities to make him very effective. Just needs some confidence. Pete, what did he say? I think Woodward does well though. Easy to mess up that header, as I said. So yeah, no, it's all very good. I mean, I just found it so brilliant that song was going around while he stuck it up, and I said this to Reece, and obviously me and Reece were next to each other in the ground, but I was in so much shock. My hands were on my head. I flicked my glasses off. This second time this season this has happened. I've lost the glasses in a in a goal celebration. And I was just in utter shock that that's happened. Like kind of Sunday League, Route 1. I hope Sells has got that assist for the FPL, by the way. I don't know if he did, but Wood 13 points for everyone who's got him in so far. Brilliant, fantastic. But moving on, obviously, Vardy, penalty shout, Lee. We've got to kind of talk about it. Jamie Carragher said if Vardy's tiny bit more on the ball, he might get that. For me, I'm uncertain, really.
I've had a conversation with a Leicester fan this morning about this, and I think he hit the nail on the head. If that's Salah, if that's Grealish, it probably gets given as a pen. The one thing that I think VAR have taken into consideration is that Vardy's probably not going to get the ball. It's going straight through to the keeper, and the contact. From what I understand, it doesn't meet this new threshold for a clear and obvious error. It's just a coming together. It falls under the category of normal football contact, basically. I think it would have been incredibly soft. Taking away the what the Leicester fan said about the Grealish and the Salah thing, I think it would have been incredibly soft. We don't want to see penalties given for that. That is normal football contact for me.
I personally thought Vardy went looking for it. I don't know about you, Reece.
Mo, I've got a question for you, Lee. If that's given on the pitch, do you think it gets overturned?
No, I don't think it does, which is even weirder, isn't it? But
that's how I saw it as.
I don't think it does. I don't think it does, unless they would take into consideration where the ball's going. But I just don't think. Yeah, I'm not sure it would. I'm not sure it does. To be fair,
I know it's easy to say because obviously we're the opposition, but that's one person I'm happy for the referee to make the call. I don't think VAR needs to stick its hooter in there.
I
And
think
I'd
as well
probably say the same for us, really.
he had a really good view, didn't he, the ref? I think it falls under the category as well as re-refereeing the game. There's no point in having a ref. You may as well let someone in a box miles away give every decision, aren't you, if you're going to overturn him on that one, because he had a really good view of it.
Yeah.
He wasn't unsighted or anything. So
it was probably a bit of frustration from Vardy's point of view as well to try and get a cheap penalty, because that was the only time he got in behind all night. I know obviously he scored. Apart from that, he didn't really cause us any issues, did he?
No,
really.
apart from that, in the second half, I don't think he touched the ball. He just was completely isolated out of the game. I think, to be honest, what said quite a lot was that he was the only half appealing. All the other players just sort of turned back and just went, "Yeah, fair enough."
They'd given up by that, the rest of the team.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm much like you, Adam. I thought he dived. I thought he was clearly looking for that, like, get up. And to be honest,
he clipped
the
his
other
own
players
heels.
have the same view. So
yeah, he clips his own heels to go down. So I mean, that's it in its case in itself. But I did forget to mention that Hudson-Odoi hits the post before Wood's second, and Anderson's follow-up goes wide. I don't know how we've not scored there, but I mean, Christian Yates should make it 4. I mean, I think he's been slaughtered in every interview he's had post-match for this, and I'm sure he'll be getting slaughtered. He'd have got slaughtered on the coach home or whatever as well, because that's a shocker, to be honest. Bless him.
That's awful. It's like I said to you earlier. It's the most Forest thing ever. I mean, you can criticize Ryan Yates and say other things about his footballing ability, but you can't deny his pure Forest. And he sort of showed that last night. Do the hard thing and messed up the easy thing. Like, how Forest is that? Like, to quote our very own Lee Clark, the easy way, the hard way, and the Forest way. And Yates did that last night. I don't know how he did it. I really don't. It just seemed like all he had to do was just like side foot it in, and instead he just gets right underneath it. I think he said to Sky that there was spin on the ball, and like with a massive smile on his face. I was like, yeah, right. But
he just did the classic leaning back, didn't he? We've all done it.
Yeah,
thankfully
we've all been there. Unfortunately, not all of us have been there in a Premier League match in front of a mass audience. But he should have scored it. It would have put a nice gloss on it. It would have completely killed the game as well. But someone did raise a quite a funny point on Twitter, actually. They said that if Yates had scored that, and if we'd got a penalty while Wood was still on the pitch, who would have taken it, Wood or Yates, for the hat-trick?
Oh, Wood.
We just hoped Wood. I don't think I've ever seen Yates take a penalty, but he's Forest captain. He could pull rank. So
no, he wouldn't do that. It's too professional, to be fair to Yates. Wood would be taking it.
Yeah. I mean, with 20 minutes to go, we brought on the defensive duo of Morato, and Nico Williams. And then Jota, Sosa and Awundi ended up making their kind of entrance into the game as a kind of like away performance routine, as it happens to be, Reese. And we could have probably made it way more convincing than it was, because I think Leicester brought on that Boubacar Samara or whatever it is, and I think he made more. I think he gave the ball away more times than he made passes. They were unbelievably bad.
Yeah, well, I said, didn't I, that if Yates would have got that 4th, I think it generally would have been a massacre, and it would have been. I generally think would have probably got like 6, because they would have completely gone. I mean, how many chances did we create when Jota, Sousa and Taro come on? Taro hit the side netting. Sousa did one like Yates into where he got under the ball and ballooned it. Jota shot wide. There was probably more as well. I just kind of forgot how many there was. I mean, as well, just like the breaks where we either probably didn't pick the right pass, or the last touch let us down. It generally could have been. It could have got a ridiculous scoreline. And to be honest, I think that's why Cooper didn't bring the likes of Edouard on, etc. Because if he'd have gone for it, I think it would have been a real embarrassing scoreline. And I don't think that would have gone down. At 3-1's not. I know the game doesn't tell the picture really. The scoreline 3-1's not really too embarrassing, is it? If they'd have lost like 5-6-1, there would have been people who. I'm sure the whole ground would have been after his head last night. So I think it was a bit of damage limitation from them. But that was down to us just not being clinical at the end, really. But you can't grumble too much, can't you? It was literally pretty perfect, that performance last night, in terms of how it went as an away fan.
Yeah, Lee, did you want to come in and add anything?
No, not really. I was just looking at some stats for Soumare. He only actually gave the ball away twice, but he committed 3 fouls. I think he was only on the pitch about 15 minutes.
Well, I don't know who it was then, but the amount of turnovers where like, you would just run and bully someone off and we'd be back at attacking it was very, very strange. I thought, yeah, I came out the ground and was a bit disappointed and said it should have been 7 or 8. I honestly, like, I'd have just loved to have put a team to the sword. It doesn't matter what team they are, because I just think as a Forest fan and as a team, just they kind of need that. We can go and smash a team because we've not done that in the Premier League. Last night we did absolutely batter them. I'm not going to lie, but we had 20 shots on goal and only 5 on target, which is still not brilliant. It's still obviously brilliant because of the result, but I think like that ruthlessness has got to still kind of, it's still to come in my opinion. But we obviously carry on. But I did want to ask you, Lee, obviously watching at home, when you hear the Stevie Cooper chant kind of ringing through your sound bar or whatever, what did you make of it?
Yeah, it was amusing actually, because I was sat watching it with the wife and she was just flicking through her Kindle and that, and she heard the song before I'd even said anything. She just went, "Oh dear," and I couldn't help but laugh. It was kind of it feels really like nasty laughing, because obviously Cooper must have been stood there cringing. I mean, like Christian said before we came on here, imagine if we played Derby and the roles were reversed and they just came and sung about, our current manager. It must have been torture for him. You can understand why the boos were so loud at the end from the home fans, because, like you said, Adam, you could understand boos like that if it was 5 or 6-0, but essentially it was a 3-1 game, and the boos were so loud at the end. So they're clearly not happy with him, and then for us to just go there and just start singing about him as well. I must admit, I was hoping they weren't going to last long, and they didn't, thankfully, because I think it was important to give obviously Nuno the praise now. But it was very amusing. It was nice to see us on the right side of that sort of banter for a change.
Christian and Reese, I do want to ask you both. Did you join in, and 2, what did you think? Reese, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect it to go the way it did, so yeah. Why not? You obviously get lost in the moment, don't you? At football, you've got to enjoy these moments. Like I said, on a human level, for what Steve did for the club and the city, I did feel a little bit sorry for him, because to be humiliated, which is what it was, isn't it? On a human level, you do think, God, I'm glad that ain't me, because it's just humiliating, wasn't it, really, for him? He was kind of he was probably stood there and, probably a tinge of enviness and think, God, this is a club I've got back to the Premier League after 23 years, and look at them now. They're absolutely soaring. And he came onto the pitch, didn't at the end, and gave a little clap, and I don't think he could wait to kind of get off. This was the Leicester fans, not us. I think he just wanted to probably, dig a hole and fall into it, really, didn't he? Bless him. But this is it's business, mate. It's cutthroat football. 1 week you're a hero, 1 week you're a zero. It's cutthroat business, and it's harsh at times, but that's the way it goes, unfortunately.
Yeah, Christian, I wanted your thoughts. I wanted to know if your dad joined in, actually, because I'm not sure if
I don't know.
Have that kind of sympathy or not.
I very much did join in, because I felt it was a bit like it was double meaning, weren't it? On the one hand, it was sort of showing appreciation to our best manager in a generation. On the other hand, it was absolutely rubbing their noses in it. Like this, I mean, I was like I was saying to you before the game, like I don't see it as a massive rivalry. I never really have done. I can think of at least 5 more teams with more like negative feelings towards, and that's before you even get into the random ones you just occasionally dislike along the way, like the plucky lot in the Championship now losing 3-1 at home at Sunderland, for example. Like, so I think of all of those ahead of Leicester, but obviously, like for certain people, and especially I understand it from a geographic point of view, like if you live near Leicester or like live near Leicester and work with Leicester fans who are very famously insufferable, especially when it comes to Forest. Like I fully get why people would hate them, and yeah, it was just like I sort of like Lee sort of touched upon. Like it couldn't have got any worse for them, really, couldn't it? Like their big day out, their massive cup final, like the thing they all get riled up for, like the thing they smash up family pubs for, the thing they run on the pitch and attack Forest players for, that game, and they're 3-1 down at home, getting absolutely blasted, and the away ends are singing the name of their current manager. while they're watching it all unfold in front of them. Like that's honestly, like, it was just a beautiful moment, and like, it's just so funny. It was a bit weird though. Like, I don't know about you guys. Like when you sort of look into the away ends, I think maybe because I don't have such negativity towards Leicester, I'm maybe slightly more sympathetic. You sort of see yourself in like the other fans. We've all been there. We've all been there when your team's losing. We've all been there when you're getting like, ripped by the away fans, sort of thing. You sort of see yourself in like the home ends when it happens. But no, I didn't really care. Like, of course I was going to sing it, and yeah, like I feel sorry for Cooper. I don't feel sorry for them, and I still think, to be honest, if he gets the season, he'll keep him up. I think I saw enough from them in the first half. They should be all right. There's at least two weak teams worse than them, I think, and I actually thought they played better than Wolves did when we played them this season as well in that first half. It was just defensive errors in the second half that killed them. So yeah, if they stick with him, they'll be all right. But it's just whether they stick with him. So we'll have to see what happens.
The positive is for them that them and City are the only team to score in every game, so they clearly can score goals. It's just obviously at the other end of the pitch.
Well, you got well-faced centre back. It's going to be difficult to keep clean sheets.
Well, he's a Belgian international, though. Does he play for Belgium?
Yeah,
I know he gets
Belgium. Like, how do you know Vincent Kompany, Alderweireld, and Vertonghen are well-faced? But how does that happen? They stopped making centre backs after Kompany came through or something.
I bet they're still ranked top 10, maybe Belgium in the world. Still.
Yeah, probably. But like, regardless, I mean, I was a little hesitant to join in because I thought it's a bit too early. Like, Leicester, if they get a goal, then the tails will get up and Forest can do a Forest. But obviously, this season has been a completely different kind of mindset.
We were never conceding again.
Well, I know
we came on. As soon as Morata came on, I was like, "That's it, game's over. Like, we're not conceding."
I forgot to mention the change in a slight thing. Chris Wood said it in his interview. There's the slight change where him and either Hudson-Odoi or Elanga would kind of make the pitch a bit more compact in the middle and basically like kill that Ricardo Pereira's like basically movement into central midfield and kind of kill the space to allow them kind of break through the middle. I think we did that excellently. Like Dominguez shone so well in the second half because he just kept winning the ball and intercepting and kind of getting us out on the counter. I thought it was excellent management from our gaffer and our staff. I just thought we killed them. They had literally zero hope. I don't think Sells made a save second half, and I think apart from the Vardy
game,
yeah,
like that was their only shot on target. Their goal.
Yeah. So no, brilliant. I was hesitant to join in the chant, but then I just thought, do you know what? Why not? And it was absolutely hilarious. I seen a Man United fan on Twitter say like it's the biggest S-House moment of its football heritage. I mean, it is English fans summed up to a T. It's just sarcastic humour to it. Basically, that's kind of all I'm going to say. But we'll move on. We've got loads to do, so we've got lots of slept on it thoughts, as you can imagine. So we'll get into those.
Red side of the Trent. Slept on it thoughts.
So you'll be glad to know we said writing. I bloody loved it. Stood with some great fans and a couple of podcasters that are all right. Next time, wear some contacts. You're going to need them this season with all the celebrations. Could have been double figures. Peaches, this week, 2 matches, 6 points. No Morgan Gibbs White, no Nuno. No problem. I can't stop looking at the table. It will change tomorrow, but I'm enjoying it. Reece Coy, from the players to the management team to the fans, we completely outshone Leicester in every department. Wood's goal topped off a fantastic all-round performance from the Kiwi Haaland. All this without many key players as well. Onwards and upwards, come on you Reds. Jono, I don't think we were as poor as some made out first half. Yes, they managed to get through us, but we looked solid apart from the goal. Still created a few chances and probably should have had the end of the half ahead. Second half was a breeze. Aina and Dominguez were superb. NFFC Red, can't bloody wait for it. I think that was for the pod. Snowboard Pete said on the way up, I can't wait for the day we score more, and that was today. A great all-round team performance, including off the bench. We should have scored more, but we can't grumble following that wonderful away win. Up the Nuno Reds, no voice and hurting is worth it all. Danny Tring, game of 2 halves, poor first, fantastic second half. Thought Callum Hudson-Odoi was brilliant tonight. Wood is just excelling week on week. Aina is a top 4 right back. Great goal by Yates. Could have been 5. Cooper's team in possession looks so uncomfortable. Andy B slept on it. We are winning the treble. I mean, we can't win the treble. We're out the Carabao Cup, aren't we? Ian, first half, after a bright 20, we seemed to lose our way a bit. Was glad to see the end of the first half whistle slightly. Second, it was a lesson in football. Should have been at least 6. They will be happy it was only 3. We move. Tom Newton, absolutely brilliant, absolutely outclassed them. If it was 4-5 or 6-1, it wouldn't have flattened us. We were that good. On to next week. Premier Elliott, been a good week for us, but the best performance was the away fans who sang throughout. Great work, everyone. Today's fact that according to people who make their livings walking on fire and walking on broken glass, neither is as painful as walking on Lego, and I can actually imagine that. Emma, we were incredible tonight. Domi, my man of the match. Every one of them were incredible away end. Bring on West Ham. Bennett, totally dominant in the second half. We should have had 5 goals easily. TJ looked leggy first half, but bossed the second half, and it was men against boys. Nuno deserves credit for the half-time tweaks to our out of possession play. Wood is prime R9, and Aina looks more like Cafu each week. You Reds. Yummy Bear, just Chris Wood. Carl Booth, dominant performance to a man superb back to front, really imposed ourselves second half and showed our quality. Wood absolutely on fire. Real reality check for Leicester that we really have progressed under Nuno. We march on 5th in the Premier League. Am I dreaming? Grant Fellows, what's happening? Another win on the road and up to 5th. Is this a fever dream we're all sharing? There seems to be a theme here, guys. And last of all, no means least, because it's got quite a few. Well, the biggest takeaway for me is we have got the result in a short week when Leicester were right up for it, whilst we were down our best player, James Ward-Prowse, Sangare and Danilo. Midfield depth is class, mentality monsters. We fear no one. I did want to ask you all a question, guys, to jump in with, but Lee, I'll start with yourself. Has your expectations changed now for the season? Now you can pretty much say now 9 games this season we've had a bloody good start, haven't we?
I don't think my expectations changed. I'm just more confident than ever that we're going to be going into that last 2 months of the season not worrying about how many points we are away from the bottom 3, and that might sound really negative after with the run of form we're on, but you've got to walk before you can run. I think it's great to get carried away. I've got no problem with anyone getting carried away. That's what makes football and sport so brilliant. But yeah, I think personally, I'm just more happy that I actually had a Leeds fan reply to my tweet this morning. I think he does a bit of reporting up that neck of the woods, and he was saying that he watched it as a neutral. He feels like we look like an established Premier League team now, and I think that sort of comment is because I think sometimes you can get hooked in when you're a supporter of the club, but for someone on the outside to say that, and a Leeds fan as well, who don't give anyone any positivity, I think that kind of made me think, yeah, perhaps we are on the right track here. So, yeah, I don't think my expectations changed. I guess I can't remember where I predicted us when we did our predictions. I still think top half would be a really good, really sort of overachieving season, if I'm being honest. But yeah, with the position we're in, and what I would just say as well is the table isn't going to change that much today because 3 of the 4 teams below us all play tomorrow. So enjoy it for an extra 24 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just before we move on to Reece or Christian, Nick Hempel's put in Fish who did the slept on it thoughts. He did the audio for us. He'd be walking into Match of the Day office with a big smile on his face, directing the show. I've seen his tweet. He's put like a Vince McMahon kind of meme of him walking into the WWE wrestling ring, and I replied to him with Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump waving, saying "Hi, Gary" or whatever. I thought that was quite amusing. Reece, what's your thoughts? Are you getting carried away, or are you kind of like feet firmly on the ground?
Vince McMahon, that great baggy suit on. 14th, Lee, you predicted us, by the way. No, my expectations haven't changed, but like Lee just said, at this stage, you allow yourself to dream, don't you? All them years of slogging it out into the Championship and League One, I generally thought I'd probably never see Forest at the Premier League. At times, that's how you felt. You just thought, is it ever going to be our time? Obviously, in that first season when we got back up, you thought so many times, oh, we're going to go back to the Championship after one season and then we're never going to get back again. So my kind of 2 dreams in football left now are to see Forest in Europe and to see England win a major trophy. That's not the bloody Nations League, before anyone says. So yeah, you're coming away from games at the minute and you're just allowing yourself to dream. So I'm allowing myself to dream that maybe one day we'll get into Europe, but no, you can't, like Lee said, you can't get too high, can you? I mean, the highs at the minute are you're pinching yourself because of 5th in the Premier League. But I think it's safe to say pretty much that we're not going to go down. I think we've already got enough points on the board in terms of having a solid base now, 16 points. I'd imagine probably double that would about get you safe nearly with you looking at the teams down at the bottom. So, look, let's just see how it goes week by week. And we'll kind of see what happens. It's just nice to be not looking at the other end of the table, isn't it? Thinking, oh God, if bloody Ipswich win this weekend, we could be in the bottom 3. So I'm just allowing myself to kind of dream at the minute. And yeah, I mean, the thought of European football is a dream. But we'll see. We'll see.
Just before I get Christian's thoughts, it was quite funny that you said after this last international break, Reece, you mentioned that we only got 5 points from the next 30 available or whatever it was. I think it was.
Yeah.
And we've already beaten that total. And I mean, you've got to update your sheet.
Yeah, I'll do that today.
We're flying. We're absolutely flying. Who'd have thought when you asked me to do this podcast, I was like, I'm not really sure. We've got Chris shooting and it's not going very well. And now we're here talking about potential going on holidays.
We started this podcast, didn't we, when after the Bournemouth game under Hughes, so it was bottom of the Championship then. And, I mean,
what an arc.
The tweet, what stuck, there was so many tweets last night, and I probably, because I didn't get home to the back 1:45. I was just probably sat up reading it because obviously adrenaline's high and stuff. But I think the tweet what caught my eye the most was, I think, a guy called Duncan Alexander who said Forest are now 5th and next season that'll be a Champions League spot. So I was like, oh my God. And I don't want Champions League football, I want Conference League football. I need to do like what Union Berlin did this. They went Conference League, Europa League, Champions League, back-to-back seasons. That's like the stages we need to do because we just want that European hellhole, don't we?
Imagine turning down Champions League because you want Conference League. You're like, I'm not going to Leverkusen because I wanted bleeding to starve.
Ludogorets. Well, you seen the other night. For those who obviously seen about the news saying they played Astana from Kazakhstan who rocked up with like 50 fans because it was like a 7-hour flight. So that'd be,
that's the dream.
That's the dream, mate. Just any European football, and that's not Cardiff Swansea in the FA Cup.
Yeah, Christian, thoughts? Obviously, I know you've been waiting there patiently.
No change for me at all. I agree with Lee. If we finish in the top half, that's a great season for us. Obviously, like Reece touched upon, it's nice to dream, but I think it's nice knowing that, I think it took us 20 games to get to 16 points last season, which is pretty awful. After 9. So it's nice in the sense that, you're not worrying about Ipswich, you're not worrying about other teams beneath you, like Southampton or Wolves or anyone like that, or looking at people like Palace saying, oh, they haven't won yet, could they leapfrog us this weekend, sort of thing. That is really nice. But I still remember Hull in like the first year they came up with Phil Brown, and they were like 7th at Christmas, and then obviously they had the whole the whole dressing down on the pitch debacle, and it went to the final day, and they needed like results elsewhere to stay up. Like things in Premier League can change very quickly. Like there's you're only 3 games away from a crisis in this league, and we've got a very difficult December coming up ahead. We've still got to go to Arsenal in a couple of weeks as well, so it's not like. No, I'm quite glad we've made our hay early because it could be a bit bumpy over the next, between now and Christmas. So, on the one hand, it's lovely to dream of going to Lincoln Red Imps and FC Whack and teams like that. But on the other, you've got to sort of hope. Just we just got to keep. I think it is a cliche, but you have got to just take it one game at a time. Not get too high, not get too low, and just be quite grateful that we've got quite a solid points foundation behind us. So if we are to lose a game, for example, because we will lose games again this season, that's football. we aren't like scrambling, going, oh no, like we're in, we're going down again. Like we need like a favour from I don't know, Dwight McNeil or something against Southampton. We aren't in that boat anymore, at least for now. And that's, I think, just make the most of that while we can, because obviously while we all have aspirations to move up the league, first and foremost, survival is the most important thing, and then you can go from there. Like if we come in, we're doing podcast in February, March time, and we're like 15 points clear of the drop zone and in the 30s, then yeah, at that point start thinking, yeah, okay, you know what, we probably aren't going to go down this season. Can we finish top half? That should be the next aim. But until then, it's still my primary focus is just getting enough points on the board to finish above water.
Yeah, I'm glad everyone's feet are firmly on the floor, because I'm in kind of the same boat, because we're a Chris Wood injury away from maybe not scoring as many goals. Though I thought Taiwo come on and actually looked a little bit fit. He looked hungry for it. His endeavour was there, and so was all the substitutions who've come on. The main five, obviously, of Morata, Nico Williams, Ramon Sosa, Jota, and Awunya have largely been brilliant in terms of their effort. They must be absolutely itching to start games, but they can't really complain when the team's in such good form. But I think we've got difficult games coming up, but while we're so defensively astute and so sound, I always give us half a chance, because that's what the foundations of this team's been built on now at the moment. Like Milenkovic, Murillo, Aina and Moreno, and Aina, obviously Sells, just look so comfortable at the moment, and Yates and Dominguez in the last two games have been protecting them so well. But yeah, we're going to go into some player performance. I know this has gone on. This seems like it's gone on ages, this podcast, but it's just so much positivity. We can't stop on a Saturday morning while we can watch the rest of the league suffer. Christian, I'm going to start with yourself. I've got to go for the kind of captain obvious in this. No, it's not Ryan Yates. It's Chris Wood.
Oh, the Kiwi Kane. Wood, he was amazing yesterday. He was absolutely amazing yesterday. Like he was, I think, like Reece touched one earlier. Like he was putting himself about so much more physically. He was winning his duels. He was like rolling his defender, his marker. And he was. It just seemed every time Sells kicked the ball, he would win it. He'd find a way to chest it down into someone's feet, whereas Anderson's or someone else, and he'd win a flick on and look to try and get someone down the wing. Like it was. I actually felt before the game that he would have a big point to prove more than anyone else, Chris Woods. I thought, not just because he was playing his former club in Leicester. I obviously, like we all know, like it didn't necessarily work out with him and Cooper in terms of a playing style, because especially initially, it looked like Wood was being asked to do what Taiwo and Keenan Davis were doing, and like running down the left flank basically, which was pointless. Like I remember when we beat Leeds 1-0. And Wood was like blowing out his arse after 20 minutes because he just wasn't fit enough to do it and wasn't like able to do it. It was stupid. And yeah, I felt he more than anyone else. And obviously Cooper weirdly like picked him out in his sort of pre-match and said that Forest have got a lot of dangerous players. Chris Wood's one of them. I thought that was a little bit cheeky, to be honest, because like he scored 4 goals under Cooper Woods in about 20 odd games. So it was a bit weird. And obviously he's been like prolific since. And Woods got on record as saying that it wasn't really it was a subtle dig at Cooper, but he was asked, it was sort of said like, I don't know, what's your secret to your success, sort of thing, like why are you scoring so many goals? And he went, I've just got a manager who believes in me and a manager who gives me confidence. And I thought that was quite a telling comment from Woods, to be honest, because obviously there's a lot of things behind the scenes we didn't necessarily see at Forest, but I did get the impression that maybe they would have had some sort of like disagreement along the way. So I thought Wood would be extra fired up anyway, especially in light of all that. And he was like, he was phenomenal. He could have been the Drogba last night. Like he won all his duels. He was winning his header. He was leading from front of goal. I mean, the second goal. If you let Woods turn, I mean, it's terrible defending. It's funny, but if you let Woods just turn, move, position, and shoot inside the box, there's a good chance he's going to score. But to find the bottom corner like he did for the second goal was incredible. That was superb accuracy. He took his third goal really well. My only sort of minor concern was that I think he took a slight knock towards the end, and that's why Taiwo was rushed on a bit earlier than normal, it looked like. But hopefully he's okay. But yeah, he was absolutely fantastic last night. That's probably the best he's played since Newcastle game, I'd say, at St James's. So maybe I should watch him way more often, because he keeps putting all these performances while I'm there. But no, outstanding league last night. Get that contract on the table, give him what he wants, give him a 2-year deal, 3-year deal, whatever. Sign him, make space for a statue. Team Chris Wood, let's go.
It's 7 and 9 for the season. But it's actually 9 in his last 10 if you include the 2 at Burnley he got in the last game. I mean, he is in sensational form. Like, we all wrote him off when he first signed. Was like, why would we sign this clogger for 15
Not all of
mil
us.
from Newcastle?
No,
we didn't
Lee stuck
all
by him. I'll give Lee.
We didn't all write him off. This is my one situation.
Yeah.
Okay. We all didn't write him off, but many did, including myself. Not you, Lee. Okay.
The truth is, under Cooper, he was poor. That is the reality. You know, you don't have to rewrite history every time. There's plenty of players over the year for Forest who, you know, were an absolute clogger at the start, and in the end turned out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, Nick,
it's a simple game though, isn't it? Like, I think that, you know, you don't make him work off the ball. You get the ball to him in the box. It's a bit like Vardy for Leicester. If you get the ball to Vardy, can't run anymore. He isn't like he was 10 years ago. You can't just ping a long ball over the top and he'll outpace a defender, run onto it and score. But if you get the ball to him in the box, that striking prowess hasn't gone away. And it's the same with Wood. If you get the ball to Wood in the box where he can shoot, he will deliver. That's what he's done is for a living for many, many years. We weren't doing that under Cooper. So it's unfortunate. We weren't. The only time we did, like, he scored against Man City, we worked the ball to him in the 6-yard box. Against Luton, both of his goals from the penalty spot, pretty much, the headers. Like, and against Sheffield United as well, that cross Morier, where he's sort of, again, on the penalty spot. If you get the ball to him and work it into him, he'll deliver. If you expect him to go chasing down the left flank, he isn't that kind of player. And Nuno's obviously recognised that. And I think it was quite nice of Wood and very humble of him to sort of say, like, you know, to sort of just downplay his electric form. And he was sort of saying that, look, I'm only in this position because the team are making me so many chances. They're working the ball into me. Like, they're giving me the opportunity to do this. And he's right. Football's a simple game. Like, football is a very simple game. You work the ball into your striker inside the box. He's got a good chance of scoring. That's what we're doing at the minute, and Wood's benefiting from that. Like, simple as that.
For me, my gripe with Wood under Cooper was, I think it was that Everton game, when it was an absolute car crash, and he just didn't put himself about at all. And I just remember Tarkowski just winning header after header after header against him and winning. And I just looked at the whole team that night and just thought, you know, it was just such a spineless performance, and Everton weren't that good as well. But because Sean Dyche had actually kicked him up the jacksie, they actually gave a bit of effort, as they did in the 2-0 last season as well, and they beat us. I think it's clear, really, that Cooper probably lost the dressing room by the end for us. I don't know if you guys noticed last night, but there was obviously the handshakes at the end, and you looked to the former players who he had under him. It was just a handshake, like the literally quickest handshake. Usually you get sometimes where the manager kind of pats him on the back, don't they, and you get a bit of a cuddle, as we do in this day and age. But it was,
I suppose you couldn't really do that, Reece, with him.
I guess,
no,
but with former players and with how many, I mean, God, there was only about 2 Leicester fans in the ground by the end of that. So I get what you're saying, but I just think there's so many players who've gone on to the next level, haven't they?
To say Leicester fans streamed out with 20 minutes to go, it still took me bloody ages to get out of the bleeding place. You know what I mean? Nick Hempel is in the know, obviously. He said Wood got a knock to the foot or toe, was given ice, but said he is okay. So yeah, hopefully that. Lee, I'm going to give you 2 wingers in Hudson-Odoi and Elanga in kind of a combination, because I thought they were both much, much better than they were on Monday night, because I thought they were a little bit below par, but I thought both of them were pretty good. I think Elanga got the most crosses in the game with about 10 or more. Just
I mean, we'll start with Elanga, because he's had some bad press, hasn't he, really, because he's not quite at his straps yet this season. Obviously, I wasn't on the pod after the Palace game when he was pretty poor. He was much more like his usual self yesterday. I think it probably helped that Leicester's fullbacks didn't seem to know how to cope with either of them, to be fair. But the only thing I'll say on Elanga is he's a young player, and I think we need to remember that. I know he had a great season last season, but some of the talk I've seen, we need to sell him and this, that, and the other, I think is way wide of the mark. I think when you have a player like that, you've got to appreciate that they're going to have kind of peaks and troughs. Obviously, he had his peaks last season. Now he's going through a bit of a bad period, but he just needs backing. He needs, much like we've just said about Wood, he just needs backing by a manager who's going to probably keep playing him. The issue he's got in terms of keep playing this season is that the strength in depth is more significant. So, there is going to be someone knocking on the door saying, why does he keep performing like that and I'm not getting a game? But last night he was much, much better. I think he's still got work to do. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't perfect. But like you say, he put plenty of balls into the box. He's taking the set pieces, wasn't he? Which does seem a bit of a
Some of them were really good as well, to be fair.
Yeah, some of them were good.
Problems.
Hudson-Odoi was brilliant, much like his usual self. I was just looking at some stats before we come on, actually. I think who scored gave Hudson-Odoi the highest mark of all our players. So,
really?
Yeah, he was really good
as well.
Shame he didn't score. I think he probably deserved
it was an unlucky one, wasn't it? They're hitting the post.
Yeah, I think more was made of the save. I think I hate to say it, feel a little bit dirty, but I kind of agreed with Carragher on commentary. It was a nice hype for the keeper, the one in the first half. Premier League keeper, you'd expect him to save that. Don't think there'd be too many in the Championship that you wouldn't expect to save that, to be fair. But the one he did everything right except for find the inside of the post to take it into the back of the net for his one in the second half. But every time he got the ball last night, I just felt he was going to do something. He had absolutely acres. I mean, I don't want this to sound horrible towards Leicester, but it was like playing a Championship side in the Cup, because every time we went down the sides, we had so much. You just don't get that in the Prem. I was so shocked at how much. Sometimes we had like 2 to their 1, and it was like, this is unbelievable. But yeah, both really good performances from both wingers. And just hope they can. I hope they do get the chance to keep going in tandem, because they do seem to enjoy playing with each other, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought one brilliant thing we did yesterday was Ricardo Pereira got a yellow card quite early doors, and we actually started going down that side a lot more than we would normally. Normally, we just kind of ignore it almost, but Callum kept going to take him on and kind of committing him a lot, and I thought that was really good. But Reece, I'm going to move on to yourself. He was your man of the match on Monday, and I thought he was brilliant again last night, and he's given Nuno a food for thought, I think, in central midfield in Nico Dominguez. I thought he was absolutely excellent, and it kind of summed it up when he was running the ball towards the corner, and I thought he was going to look at Harry Winks and go, come on, are you going to still run with me or what? But Harry Winks could not run with him to save his life by the end of that game.
Yeah, he was absolutely superb again, Dominguez. I'm not sure why some fans are not too keen on him personally. I've thought he's been pretty decent throughout his whole Forest career when he's played. I think he got a couple of goals into last season, Brentford and United. Obviously scored in the Cup against Blackpool. Just loads of energy. His passing was really good. Also, the nasty streak in him was they were breaking one, and he took an obvious yellow card and just chopped them down, which sometimes you need to do. And him and Yates in that middle last night were both fantastic. Complemented each other well. Both knew the tasks, and the competition for places. I mean, these two. Yates would have probably been third choice once it started the season. Dominguez fourth, because obviously Sangar and Danilo started the season. You also obviously had James Ward-Prowse into that mix, and they both come in, and it's their shirt to lose. It's both. I mean, Ryan Yates is in the form of his life, isn't he, at the minute?
Absolutely, 100%.
I'm just looking at him now, and again, this like we can all rewrite history, etc. But I'm not going to get into that. And I just look at him and look how much he's matured as a captain. There's been people in the past, including yourselves, who criticise him and say, just used to point into space, which he did at the time. Last night, I'm looking at, and the game before against Palace, Leicester are penned in the corner, and he's telling everybody to get over and pen them in as a captain. I watched him with Jota Silva. Dominguez was off the pitch injured, and Jota Silva ran to the right, and he's like, look, you need to get in here with me when we've got 10 men. And just showing himself as a leader. Dominguez is captain Bologna. You got Milenkovic, who captains Serbia. Chris Wood, who captains New Zealand. Ola is an international player. Matt Sell's an international player, and there's others as well. We've just got a team full of leaders all over the pitch now. The centre mids at the minute are playing superb. I mean, Dominguez would have probably, if it wasn't for Chris Wood playing like Drogba last night, would have probably got my man in the match again. I thought he was excellent. I really did.
I think Dominguez is looking better because we're a better side as well. his pressing now looks purposeful, because then the press is getting followed by the likes of Anderson, Moreno, Hudson-Odoi, Wood even, and then we're winning the ball back so much quicker than what we used to, because it's not just one bloke aimlessly running around.
He's the best first-time passing midfielder we've got, Dominguez. I just watch him how he can pass the ball without taking a touch. He can just sweep balls first time without taking a touch, and like perfect. I mentioned one on the last pod the other night against Palace. There was several last night where he just swept it to the wing. No messing about, holding onto the ball and getting caught. Yeah, brilliant. I'm really pleased he's got into the team, because I like Dominguez, and I hope he keeps showcasing this, because I think he's still, the last 2 games, I still think he's gone under the radar for a few fans. But Yates and Dominguez, what a partnership at the minute.
I mean, I'm really glad you mentioned some of the players we've had missing, because we've done this the last 2 games without Ward-Prowse, without Moore Gibbs-White, no Sangare, Danilo, who you obviously mentioned were the 2 starting central midfielders for the first game of the season at least. Obviously, Danilo had a bad injury, and we've still got them to come back. I mean, and again, last night we did not miss Morgan Gibbs-White, who is arguably our best player, and I mean that's a scary thought for a lot of the league, because
it shows how far we've come, that we'd probably say, most of us, that Morgan Gibbs-White is in either as best player or definitely in the top 3. And we're looking at the team at the minute thinking, well, where does he get back in? Because he doesn't. That is the reality at the minute. Who do you drop? You're not going to drop any of your 2 centre mids to put Anderson back there. And you're not going to drop Elliot Anderson. So this is
a great
brilliant.
headache.
Yeah, but it's brilliant competition for places. It's like, I think it was Lee said earlier, is it Leeds, mate, said, this is a proper Premier League team now, into the squad depth. I'm just hoping we're kind of like, I think you made a really good point, Adam, earlier. You're just kind of hoping we don't get injuries to key players. You look at probably Milenkovic as being one, Chris Wood being the other. I think they're probably the main 2, aren't they? Maybe Murillo as well, because that partnership is so good.
But at least with you got Morato there,
yeah,
as a replacement,
who's come on and done really
Still
well.
Not conceded a goal, by the way.
Yeah, he's come on and done really well, Morato. But that partnership is so good, isn't it? Murillo and Milenkovic, you kind of don't, as good as Morato's been when he's come on, you kind of just don't want to break that partnership up. And hopefully everyone can stay fit. That would be, and then I think we'll have a great season if that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to quickly mention the substitutes. So I did mention earlier, but I think the 5 that have naturally featured quite a lot in Sosa, Jota, Morato, Nico Williams, and Taiwo Awoniyi, I think they've all been brilliant. And I feel sorry for them in one way, because they could probably all start as well, which shows, again, what you said, Reece, our strength and depth. But I think every time they've come on, they've put a shift in. I don't get worried about any of them coming on and kind of going, oh, why are we doing that? But they've all trusted. They've all done a job. I thought Ramon Sosa last night, he looked terrifying in terms of going forward. Like he rinsed Wout Faz a few times and could have easily got a goal himself.
Tyro come on and done really well. Put himself about.
They all did, mate. And this it's so good to like talk about and like kind of watch on the pitch, because they're all clearly fighting for each other. I mean, we've all got beaming smiles on our faces. It's absolutely fantastic. But we're coming towards the end. We're just going to quickly talk about West Ham a little bit. Christian, first of all. Or did you want to say something? Go on.
Yeah, just regarding Sosa last night, he was denied by a fractionally heavy touch, possibly one of the best goals we've ever seen, where he nutmegged face, just ran past him. And if he just hit that slightly gently, a bit more gentle, he's in 1-on-1. Like, that was such a brilliant piece of skill, that move. He looked really good last night, Sosa.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, stick with yourself, Christian. West Ham next week. This bracket of like 4 games of Palace, Leicester, West Ham, and now Newcastle, you was thinking, maybe like 6 to 8 points would be a pretty good return. Now we're talking that we could go 3 games on the bounce, which we've not done since we've returned to the Premier League. I don't think you can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, if we could go 3 wins on the bounce and beat West Ham, who are struggling at the moment under Lopetegui. They won't have Mohamed Kudus, who's a very important player, but a team we've also had the better of at home, especially. Are you quite confident going into that one?
A little, yeah. It does seem to be we are. I'm not going to say it. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that word. It does feel they're in a bit of a rut. Put it that way. It's weird though because they turned it over pretty comfortably the other week, and then obviously had a total head loss against Spurs, wasn't it? And Kudos getting sent off.
Yeah.
It's tricky. I still feel they're in a bedding in period. I still feel a bit inconsistent. I still feel with the players they've got available, they could just turn up and be very, very good. So it'd be a bit silly to sort of like dismiss them entirely. But it just seems a bit strange. Like their fans are, proper kicking off about Lopetegui already. I suppose they're probably like promised all this shiny trinklets and whatever else, and maybe suffered delusions of grandeur, and it hasn't quite worked out that way, at least immediately. Another team that infamously won the transfer window and hasn't backed it up with results. So it's we'll have to see what happens, but it's a tough one. Obviously, they got United this weekend, didn't they? I kind of fancy them to beat United, to be honest. So that could have a big part going into our game. But equally, all we can do is focus on us, control the controllables, as Cooper said. And we've got to build in our home form. We got a very good result on Monday. We had to work for that, and we deserved it. And we need to try and hopefully, like I said, carried it on against West Ham. I think, yeah, we can. It'll be tough though, but I don't see why we can't get a positive result. But yeah, can we go 3 in a row? It feels a bit weird saying that, doesn't it? It's sort of like, can we go 3 games?
Of course we can.
Yeah. Why not?
What's your score prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1. 2-1. I fancy, 2-1 Forest. Yeah.
Yeah. Lee?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for a win as well, actually. I actually think a lot of what Christian's just said is right. I think their fans are getting a little bit disillusioned of having all these really good players and Lopetegui not knowing how to get the best out of them. All I'd say to West Ham fans is be careful what you wish for. You had a perfectly good manager who'd won a European trophy, the fickle world of football. I think we will win. I think it'll be a repeat of last season. I think we'll win 2-0. It just feels weird, doesn't it? All this positivity. One interesting point to make about that game is it's West Ham's first game outside of London this season, isn't it? So can they do it on a cold Saturday afternoon in November in the East Midlands? I don't think they can.
Is your Victor Meldrew mate happy at all, by the way? I just wanted to quickly ask.
He's never happy. He's not happy with anything.
Is he friends with Maradona? Because apparently he's never happy either.
He's happy with the team. He's much more positive about the actual team. He still moans about everything else we do on a match day.
All right.
Except for going to the Trent Nav. That's his little thing. It was his idea to go there and try it. Everyone loves it. He don't shut up about it. But yeah, everything else, he just moans about everything in general. If there's a spare ticket going, his missus will come with us. And she always says he's exactly the same at home. So it's not you, lads. It's just how he is. So yeah, there's your little shout out, James Rowan.
At least he's consistent.
He is.
It'll be interesting to see how they get on this weekend. I fancy a bit of a draw in that one. Probably trying to, whatever each other. Man U and West Ham are both a bit poor, aren't they, at the minute? I think we'll win as well. I'm not worried about them as well. It's good that Kudos is out because he is one of their better players. Like Christian said, they have still got a lot of quality in the team. There's no doubt. They've spent a lot of money in the summer, I believe. Like Christian said, another one who won the transfer window, same as Ipswich, which all the pundits have gone very quiet on. Wonder why that is. But yeah, I'm going to agree with Lee. I fancy 2-0. And I look at I'm just looking at his fixtures now. I know Christian mentioned after the next break is a tough run and there is some big games in there, but the confidence is that high in me at the minute. I don't fear going to Arsenal at all because Man City are the ones, aren't they, away, and Villa at home. That'll be even Manchester United away. Would you guys? Are we playing at the minute and are they playing? Would you fancy going to Man United away and turning them over? Because
absolutely. I absolutely do.
I do. They're rubbish. I think we could go to Arsenal and get something.
if Ten Hag's their manager, I'd fancy Carlisle to turn them over, let alone Forest.
But this is like crazy. Obviously, we grew up when Manchester United were at the peak of their powers, and the thought of like going to Old Trafford and thinking you could. I mean, back in the day under Ferguson, them days are long gone. It was like, God, you'd be lucky if you even scored a goal. So yeah, but you have to take one game. Yeah, you have to take one game at a time. I do think we'll beat West Ham, and then I look at the last fixture before bloody another international break. Annoyingly, Newcastle at home. I've mentioned before I would kind of had their number in terms of how we played against them, and not really necessarily got the results. So yeah, 2 back-to-back home games. I think it's a massive opportunity for the club before this break to put themselves in even dizzier heights, really. But yeah, 2-0 for me.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
something else very quickly.
Go on.
I just think because obviously our fixtures for October are done now, aren't they? Pretty much. So obviously we drew with Chelsea, we've beaten Palace, and we've beaten Leicester. Could Nuno be the first manager nominated manager of the month, despite having a touchline ban? He's not actually been in the dugout for games.
In the Premier League, they'll probably give it to Kieran McKenna or something for getting a plucky goal for a consolation.
Rob Edwards gets his return again for being plucky.
Yeah, I'm not.
It was quite funny that Colin Frey obviously mentioned to Nuno, he's like, well, you've won 2 games with being on the touchline. He goes, you might get used to it, sort of thing. And he was like, no, absolutely not. I mean, and also, if you've not listened to BBC Radio Nottingham's commentary of the goals, Hodgie yeses are at a peak, obviously, because he's just the master of the yes. But yeah, going to West Ham, I'm the same as you guys. Clean sweep. I'm pretty confident that we can beat them on our day. Obviously, they're still a good team to kind of fear. They've got some good players, but yeah, again, their transfer window's kind of been a bit flat on the pitch because, like I think Nicholas Fulkrug's either got injured or he's not playing. I can't remember which one it is, but that's not gone quite well. Obviously, he got injured. Kudos is suspended, so they're relying on Jared Bowen and Mikel Antonio to kind of do the business for him next week. And I think with how we're playing, I think we can snuff that out and be a threat going the other way with how leaky they've been. I mean, I watched them against Chelsea and I've never seen such an open defence in my life other than last night. So, yeah, full confidence. Obviously, everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We've got a peak of like 95 people in here today. So thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning. Hope everyone can enjoy their weekends now, obviously. And hopefully we're still in the dizzy heights of the Premier League. But the lowest we can finish, I think, is 8th, someone mentioned. So that'll be bloody marvellous, regardless. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good positivity. We'll see you next week.
I think it's 7th because Chelsea and Newcastle play each other.
Oh, well, that's all right then. Sound brilliant.
I've not been looking this morning or anything.
Can I just quickly add as well to Christian's point about manager of the month? We all know who's going to get it, don't we? If they win this weekend, and that'll be that guy at Liverpool who can't stop talking about us, even to the point now where the media have even took our result out of their run. That's our, sucking up to get to that club. But we're not going to dampen the pod on them.
I mean, that we're living rent free in Liverpool's manager's head is literally.
I could see him like running the length of the pitch if they beat us at ours.
Imagine if we're
again, or they don't beat us. Yeah.
Imagine if they don't beat us and we're the results that deny them winning the Premier League. That would be literally the best thing ever. Yeah, amazing.
Well, they win 36 and lose 2 in both losses to us or something.
Man City win. I don't know if have City dropped any points so far.
I don't know. Yeah.
They have, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they have. They drew at Newcastle, didn't they? So yeah.
Yeah. So City have won 6 and drew 2. So if City win 36 and draw 2, and Liverpool win 36 and lose 2, that'll City win the league by 2 points. That's the dream.
We're going to win the league anyway. One City players, they won't know what's here. Milenkovic against Haaland, no questions. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Hope you all enjoy your weekends with no stress now that Forest have won on Friday night and kind of rubbed it in Leicester City's wounds. Join us next week for a preview or 2 before West Ham, and we'll see you then. So goodbye for now. Take care. Come on, you Reds.